Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamai Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Okay. So last week we talked about arguments, bhaktas and arguments. And we established that there's so many different kinds of bhaktas in all walks of life. And the beauty of bhakti is that anybody from any walk of life, from any background, can take to this path. It's not limiting. This is for any age, any kind of wealth, any knowledge, whether one has knowledge or doesn't have knowledge. Anybody can take this path, and that's why it's very easily accessible. Having done that, when the bhaktas take on this path, they feel that they belong to Bhagavan. So in Sutra 73 last week, we saw Yatastadiyaha. They feel that everyone belongs to Bhagavan. And because everyone belongs to Bhagavan, they don't waste their time in petty arguments. As we saw in Sutra 74, Vado na avalambhyaha. Sometimes we argue unnecessarily for so many petty things. Actually, one of our Swamiji said 99.9% of the things in life are petty. They're petty. They're not such a big deal, but we make a very big deal. And they don't also argue because there's so many different ways to see things. That story of the blind man and the elephant. So the blind men went to come see an elephant, and they were trying to feel out the elephant, and one felt the elephant's tail and said, oh wow, this animal has a rope, and the other man felt the elephant's ears and felt like, oh, this animal has a fan. And then one man felt the body of the elephant, said, this animal is like a wall. And then one felt the trunk of an elephant, felt like it's a very thick rope. So these are all blind people, and they're feeling different parts of the elephant. So one says, oh, this elephant is so sturdy like a wall. The other says, no, it's so fluid like a rope. And the other says, no, it's like so flexible like, a fan. But the thing is, none of them can actually see the entire elephant. They can't see the entire elephant. And all arguments are only the blind man trying to see the elephant. It's because we're only seeing a certain part. We're only seeing a certain part, so therefore we're disagreeing with somebody else. But when we take our vision really high and open our eyes, and we're able to see everything, the entire picture, then we can understand each other better. We might not agree to each other, and that's completely okay. But at least there's that higher level of understanding that this is the path of this person. This is where they are right now. That's perfectly okay. So the bhaktas have that all-encompassing capacity. And they also see Bhagavan in the other person. So they're not interested in arguing and fighting in all of that. And the one who truly has knowledge or who truly loves Bhagavan, they don't even feel like speaking. Because what can you say? Only hungry people are talkative. When people are so hungry, they're talking. But when you sit down to eat and you cherish your food and your stuff, that's it. Nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to do anything. You just want to relax and be in that fullness, isn't it? It's only hungry, empty people talk a lot. Oh, they like to argue a lot. But the bhaktas, they just like to revel in that silence, revel in that fullness. And if you're singing a different tune, okay. If you're thinking of a different belief, okay. So now we saw those sutras, but then it says that, does it mean that in bhakti we don't think? So here it says, no, not at all. Sutra number 76. Bhakti Shastrani mananiyani tad udbodhaka karmani karaniyani. So Bhakti Shastrani, the treatises on devotion, mananiyani, they should be reflected upon. Tad udbodhaka karmani, and their instructions, karaniyani, must be practiced. So books on devotion should be reflected upon, and their instructions must be pursued diligently. What does this mean? In Bhaja Govindam, Adi Shankaracharya ji says something so beautiful. He says, Bhagavad Gita kinchit adhita, which means that Bhagavad Gita studied a little. So in essence, he's saying to read less, study less. But why? So we can reflect more. When Puja Gurudev used to give the study scheme, he would say, read 4 to 5 pages a day, or read 3 shlokas a day, sometimes even 1 shloka a day. The idea is not how much we read, because we might read a lot of Shastra. And nowadays also we don't read. The one long email, we don't read everything. We just kind of skim, right? That's why we skim, we scan, we flip. Our language has changed. Nobody says, please read this. Or, we have a flip book. We have, the scans. We don't really read. So there's no question of even reading between the lines. What this is saying is, just take something. So, one story, one event, Bhakti Shastrani, mananiyani, and just keep on thinking about that. Just think about that. And tad udbodhaka karmani, whatever it says, karaniyani, then do that. So there's so many beautiful stories in our Shastra. There's one story of Sri Krishna. We all know Sri Krishna's story. And Yashoda Maya, Sri Krishna was eating mud, or he says he wasn't eating, but Yashoda Maya said he is eating. And so she opens his mouth. And what does she see? She sees the entire world in Sri Krishna's mouth. Now, just take that one story. Now, what does that mean? That means that the whole world is actually Bhagavan. The whole world is actually an expression of Bhagavan. So if when she opened Sri Krishna's mouth and she saw the whole world, then what does that mean? So think about that. So let's think a little deeper, right? If we look at it from the Bhakti standpoint, then everything is a representation of Bhagavan. And if we see everything is a representation of Bhagavan, or everything is Bhagavan, then how are we treating everything? what does it mean to really see Bhagavan in that? What does it mean to see Bhagavan in nature? And is Bhagavan also in innate objects? Is Bhagavan in the door, in the table, in the floor? And how is that seen in our scriptures? What does it mean to see Bhagavan and maybe somebody who we have a difficulty with? How can we really see God there? What does it mean to see Bhagavan in ourselves? And I just think about the story, and then see, okay, this is what it means. What it means is that we can't actually be apart from God. Because in Sri Krishna's mouth, the whole world was there, but even Yashoda Maya would have been there. So then you think even deeper, that this whole world is actually our expression. So this is called mananiyani. It's just taking one story, one aspect, and just thinking deeply about it. And as we think about it, then things become very, very clear. There's the story of Kubja. Kubja. So Kubja was a hunchback lady. She was a hunchback lady, and she was in Mathura. She was, before, in her previous birth, she was Shurpanakha. Now she's Kubja. And she was in charge of making perfumes and everything for Kamsa. Now it just so happened that Sri Krishna and Balarama went to Mathura because they were going to fight. They were going to fight over there. And they looked at her and they saw her carrying these beautiful perfumes for Kamsa. And they asked her, they said, oh, can we, these are so nice and so lovely, can we please have them? Now, Kubja's thinking that, hey, everything is for Kamsa. And if Kamsa finds out that I'm going to give these perfumes, these perfumed oils to somebody else, he will get very mad. And he might even just take me away or banish me from this kingdom. But anyway, she looked at Sri Krishna and Balarama because she said there was something so divine in their faces, and she gave them the perfumed oils. And then what happened? Sri Krishna stepped on her toe, lifted her chin, and slowly her hunchback became straight. And she became a really, really beautiful woman. And now everybody knew her glory and her bhakti. So now even just taking this one incident, right? Just her ability to recognize purity, and sacrifice her life, seeing that this person in front of me is so pure. If I offer these oils, I might get in trouble, but it's okay. Let me give this. Her ability to give without even expecting anything in return. She didn't know that was Sri Krishna. She didn't know anything would happen. She just felt that she had to give. And the love of Sri Krishna, of how he just lifted her up. So like that, Bhakti Shastrani is not just to be listened to be reveled in, but it's also to think about. And think deeply about, what does a hunchback mean? Symbolically, what does being straight mean, right? So Bhakti Shastrani Mananiyani. Now, somebody might say, all of this is so beautiful and so nice, but I don't have time. I don't have time for all of this. So I can't do all of this. So Naradaji says, no, think about this. Sutra 77. Sukha dukkhe cha labhadityakte kale pratikshamane kshanardhamapi vyartham naneyam. So what does Naradaji say? He says, Kale, in a propitious time when sukha, dukkha, ichha, labha, adi, etc. tyakte, to a propitious time when pleasure, pain, desire, or profit do not trouble you, pratikshamane, waiting for that, kshanardham api, even for half a moment, vyartham naneyam, shouldn't be wasted. So some of us feel like, let's just wait. Right now, life is just too hectic. It's too tough. So many things are going on. I can't do all of this right now. Right now, there's so many conflicts in my mind. There's so many things in my heart. I can't do this right now. And Naraji says, don't even wait for such a moment. Don't even wait for such a moment. Vyartham naneyam, because this time shouldn't be wasted. There was a man who wanted to go swim in the ocean. He wanted to go swim in the ocean, and he's standing there. Everyone is swimming, and he's just standing there. The whole day he's standing there. And everyone looked at him and said, what happened? He said, I'm waiting for the waves to stop. Then I will go swim. Will he ever swim? The waves will never stop. Well, you think your life is busy now, it'll get busier. Life will just get busier. The waves will keep going up and down, but that is samsara. Samsarati iti samsara. That which keeps flowing, that's called samsara. So it's gonna get busy. It's gonna get even busier, maybe. It's gonna keep having ups and downs, but our dharma as bhaktas is, even now, seek. In and through all of the waves, seek. In and through everything, seek. Why? Because point number one, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We feel like maybe when we get older, we can seek deeper, we can look at this deeper. No one knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Are we going to be alive tomorrow? Are we going to be healthy tomorrow? Right? If you remember Bhaja Govindam, Angam Galitam Palitam Mundam, Dashanavihinam, Jatam Tundam. The old man, the limbs are just failing. Angam Galitam Palitam Mundam. The hair is out. The hair is already, someone is balding. Dashanavihinam, so without teeth anymore. Jatam Tundam, can't even walk. Vridho Yadi Grihitva Dandam, holding a stick. Tadapina munchati asha. Still, that old man has not left desires. So imagine what our fate would be if we are old, growing old. Our hairs are graying, or we're losing hair. We've lost teeth. We can barely see. We can barely hear. Our back is crippled. We can't even walk. Our body is killing, dying. But the mind is willing. That becomes very hard when people are older, because the mind wants to do so many things, but the body can't move fast enough. It can't move fast enough because we're getting older. So the idea is, if we're able to sublimate all of our desires now in the form of bhakti, in the form of karma yoga, devotion, even in the highest, in the form of jnana, then life will be very, very peaceful. The one who plans ahead, those people enjoy. The ones who are disciplined enough, those are the people who have fun. The ones whose lives are straightforward, those are the people who really fly high. So tomorrow, we don't know what's going to happen, how things are going to be. Will we have the resources? Will we have the ability? Will we have all of these things on our side? We don't know. Will we have wealth? We don't know. And the other thing is, now if we're not spending time seeking, worshipping, devoting our lives to Bhagavan, what will we do? What else will we do? We will just get caught up in useless, absolutely useless things. I was with someone today and she was telling me, she said, I wasted so much time just sitting on the couch and looking at social media. She's like, now I'm I've gone back to school. I want to get my master's. And she's a mom, and her kids are grown up. They're grown up. They're in college. She said, now I want to actually do something with my life. I can't believe I've wasted so much time just sitting in the couch and idling my way. So if we don't do this, if we're not seeking, if we're not uplifting ourselves, if we're not uplifting our minds, then what other faltu things could we be doing, right? We'll be doing something else. So might as well keep our minds here on this path. So he says, don't waste time. And then another thing Naraji says, you know, when you and I have worldly desires, we never postpone them. Huh? I want to go on a trip. Then what happens? Right away, we look for Airbnb. Right away, we book a flight, and we're going to fly out and we're going to get on a trip. But when it's a seeking or bhakti, postpone, delay. When it's our own selfish motives, we never delay. If you and I want something, right away, we're out there to get it. But our thirst for the higher is not that high. Huh? And the thing is, we also waste our time. There was this person, we really, if we're not seeking higher, if our mind is not in the higher, it gets easily robbed by the door. There was this person, he had $86,400. How many dollars? $86,400. Okay, so it's there. Now he keeps cash in his home. He likes to keep cash. Now he was sitting on his porch and he had there $10. He was going to buy something. So he had $10 sitting outside on his porch, chilling, everything like that. He went inside for a moment because he said, let me get some, cold lemonade. It's very hot now. Let me get some. He left his $10 there. He said, it's a safe neighborhood. I'm not really thinking too much. Now somebody came and stole those $10. Now when he came out, he was so upset. He started running after that person, running, trying to get his $10. And how many dollars does he have? Now $86,390. Running after the $10. And he spends so much time, he sweats, he pants, but he's unable to catch that guy, that fellow. So he comes home. He talks to his wife, and he says, somebody just took $10. I can't believe he took $10. The whole day, whoever he spoke to, he told everybody about this $10 incident. Everybody he told about this $10 incident. So what happens? The whole day went in $10. How many dollars does he have? $86,390. Now, how many seconds do we have every day? 86,400 seconds. Now, somebody does something disturbing for 10 seconds. What happens? The whole day goes on that 10 seconds. The whole day we're thinking about that 10 seconds, that disturbing moment. That happened. Why did it happen? Replay again in the mind. Then you tell somebody else about this. Then you tell somebody about that. And you tell somebody else. And then the next day again. You have 86,390 seconds left. But why must we harp on that 10 seconds? Or forget even 10 seconds? 1 minute? If somebody, messes with us 1 minute, disturbs us 1 minute, we spend the whole day thinking about that 1 minute. This is what happens in our life. These are the kinds of thoughts we have because our minds are not geared towards that which is higher. And because of that, they go lower. They're used to going lower. So Naraji says, don't wait. Here itself, now itself, in whatever way we can seek, whatever way we can worship, love, seek, and think deeply about it. Bhakti doesn't mean don't think, as we saw. Bhakti means think even deeper. Think even deeper. Feel even deeper. And be even deeper. Now he says, now if we really want to cultivate this bhakti, what must we do? So here now he's giving us some tips for our life. Very, very practical. Sutra number 78. Ahimsa satya shaucha daya. Ahimsa satya shaucha daya. Astikyadi. Astikyadi. Charitriyani. Charitriyani. Paripalaniyani. Paripalaniyani. So here he says, these virtues like ahimsa, non-injury, satya, truthfulness, shaucha, cleanliness, daya, compassion, astikya, faith in the Lord, adi, and so on, charitriyani, virtues of character, paripalaniyani, should be cultivated. So question might comes to a seeker that, I want to think of Bhagavan. I want to think of something higher, but it's not happening. My mind has become like a dustbin, like all crazy kinds of things are in my mind. I don't know why, but the nature of the thoughts are just not great. What is the reason? So here Naradaji says, it's because we still have to work to prepare ourselves. You see, let us say king and queen are coming. There was this royal inauguration, something like that happened recently. So the king and queen don't come right away. First, there's going to be a band, people, there's going to be drums and music, then there's going to be dancers, then there's going to be a procession of all maybe the important people and relatives, then there's going to be security, then the king and queen will come. King and queen don't come right away. There's a whole band baja band. There's a whole procession that comes before the king and queen actually arrive. In the same way, before Bhagavan arrives in our heart, we have to prepare Bhagavan's throne. We have to prepare a throne for Bhagavan. Bhagavan doesn't just come and sit. He doesn't come and sit. He'll only stand. If somebody's heart is very restless, he only stands and is waiting to go. I cannot sit there because the heart is too restless. Like when we go to somebody's house and it's so restless, we won't sit. We'll stand and we'll wait to go. Better go. But if we come to someone's home who's very welcoming, very warm, then nicely we sit and we relax also. So Bhagavan also feels like that heart, which is so restless, so disturbed. I cannot sit there. He cannot sit peacefully. He's always standing, waiting to run. So we have to prepare the throne. And the throne needs to be prepared by first the band has to come, dancers, the music, all of that has to come. And all of these things are just these deeper values in life, like nonviolence, truthfulness, compassion, etc. It's cultivating these values. And when those values are there, shining in our hearts, then what happens? Bhagavan says, not only will I sit, I'll also sleep there. I'll live there. Not only will I sit, I will live there. So for bhaktas, for the minds and hearts that are not prepared, Bhagavan only tiptoes, doesn't even stand. Then for others, he'll stand and wait to leave. For others, he'll sit. Sometimes we sit in a position where we're ready to get up. We're not sitting comfortably. So sometimes Bhagavan will sit like that in a position ready to get up. Then sometimes he'll sit comfortably. But in the devotee's hearts, who are so pure and clean, he actually lives. He lives, he stays. Because he's so comfortable. He says, this is the environment. That in which love can thrive and which I don't have to worry. So the idea is to make our hearts like that. So now for your discussion, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 distinct values. Ahimsa, non-injury, satya, truthfulness, Shaucha, cleanliness. Daya, compassion. Astikya, faith in the Lord. What you will do for your discussion is take each of these values and see them from 4 aspects. The first aspect is from the body level. Second, from the speech level. Third aspect, from the mind level. And fourth aspect, from the spiritual level. We think that we know non-violence. Okay, I know, don't be violent. But actually, these values are much deeper than we think. And only when we reflect upon them, then we truly understand what it means to be non-violent, or compassionate, or have faith. So, body level, speech level, mind's level, and then spiritual level. Okay, so we'll take a break here.